first and most natural state of evolution is called tamas. We have all experienced each of the states of change, but honestly, this one is probably the most familiar to everybody because it provides you protection and it like kind of keeps you safe. Tamas is risk averse and it seeks stability. Now, when you're confronted with some sort of a challenge or pain in your life, tamas is your resistance to that pain. It is your tendency to be reluctant to change. And honestly, because of that, you may miss a lot of opportunities. So you are feeling tamastic when you want to stay comfortable and when you want the world to be a lot more predictable. Now, a tamastic person is going to have a strong sense of nostalgia. They look to the past with a lot of reverence, and they kind of have the good old days sort of attitude. Now, beyond that, they also have a strong connection to personal responsibility and a firm belief in existentialism, which is that your development is your responsibility. It's a result of your will. Automatically, individuals that are tamastic, they seek rules and they seek organization. They look to the past to predict the future. And their primary source of really decision-making and understanding comes from their own experience. Now, above all, how they value how things are done right now, and they generally don't want it to change. They would rather slowly mold themselves into the environment so that way they know what to expect. When considering the personality characteristics, the big 5 personalities, tamas generally leads to high markings in conscientiousness. Now, if you look at the subcategories of conscientiousness, the ones that really illustrate this best are duty, order, and cautiousness. Now, it also shows a really strong increase of neuroticism in 2 primary categories. That's usually in depression as well as anger. They experience a very particular type of anger that I'll go over in a second. Though, and I want to get this out, just because you have high markings in any of these points doesn't necessarily mean you are tamastic by nature, but they are markings, right? They are giving you some indications. Now, the issue with tamas happens when we fail to evolve at all, right? We resist so much change that we just kind of sit still and the world passes us by. That type of person, that type of experience is going to lead you to feeling a lot more like life passed you by, right? They fail to meet the moment. You fail to develop yourself or prepare for the evolution of the world. So they kind of get locked up into doing the same tasks and they don't learn new skills. They often become stuck. And sometimes that leads to depression, and that anger, that special type of anger, is called resentfulness. They resent the world for moving too quickly. Now, within their interactions, a tamastic person is going to, an overly tamastic person, I should say, is going to become arrogant, and they disregard other people's feelings as well as their talents. The fancy term for that is they hold everyone else in contempt, right? They disregard them altogether. The gunas are discussed, like I said before, in a lot of ancient texts at considerable length. Tamas is consistently deemed that lowest of all the evolutionary processes. Now, this is true when considering progress, right? That's obvious. That's just part of it. Progress is the key word. The texts were actually written at a time when culture, as well as just humanity in general, was seeking evolution, reaching this higher state of consciousness and a higher state of evolution. So the implicit value of that whole idea is that it is evolving, right? Is making change. And that's what Tamas resists. That's why I believe this is seen as the lowest. Now, a quote that I wanted to share that I thought was very relevant is that Tamas predominates when Rajas and Sattva are dormant. To me, this says very clearly that the other 2, Rajas and Sattva, are simply louder when considering our own evolution and how we make changes. Now, to conclude this video, I wanted to say that Tamas resists change, which at times is appropriate. However, in order to make change, we have to step outside of what is comfortable. In order to evolve, in order to become the best version of ourselves, we have to step out of what is known, what's predictable. It's not enough to protect ourselves deeply, to stay safe and secure, because there's always going to be more challenges, more things to be done, more things to learn, and more evolution to experience. The world is going to continue to evolve. Culture is going to continue to evolve. Life is going to continue to change. It's only logical that we remain open to this type of evolution. And that's why Tamas alone is not enough.